Welcome back. If you've just joined us, here's a very quick recap of the last few months. We broke down an Exmouth and worked in a caravan park while we took on a head gasket repair ourselves. After one failed attempt, we tried again, but when it came time to leave, the distributor decided to break too. A new one came and we were headed to Perth, finally. But it wasn't a smooth journey, with overheating resulting in us only being able to drive at night. Things were falling off our carby and we had a very loud, leaky exhaust. Once in Perth, we saw a mechanic who told us Joey's head gasket was leaking, again. So it was engine rebuild time. We put him on a truck, sent him home, ready to embark on the rebuild ourselves. Now you're all caught up.
Once Joey completed his long trip from Perth to Wagga, I still had to limp him home slowly to avoid overheating the motor. But without any dramas, I got him home and we jumped straight into the rebuild process by first draining the oil and coolant. Then we jacked Joey up off his wheels and onto jack stands, which will become his bed for the next month. Then begins the engine teardown, removing all hoses, cables, fuel and emission lines, and as you've seen a couple times now, out comes the valve train assembly and the cylinder head. It's unfortunate to say that I've gotten pretty good at this process. Now that we have more workspace, all other external components must be removed. The oil filter, which needed some help from the good old R and Williams belt, the distributor, belt pulleys and the aircon compressor. A lot of these bolts haven't been touched in decades, so heaps of WD-40 was needed and in some cases a breaker bar.
We're gonna need some bigger guns.
We decided to leave the compressor linked up to the air conditioner line and tied it up out of the way to avoid needing to regas the aircon system. With everything disconnected from the block, it was finally time to pull the motor out of the vehicle. Since we didn't have an engine crane, we chose to remove the motor through the bottom of the van with the transmission still connected to save removing a section of the floor. It would be significantly easier to unbolt the transmission outside of the vehicle, and lucky for us, it made the perfect counterweight to balance the motor on a trolley jack. Despite laying on the ground for the whole process, everything went relatively smoothly. Once the motor was resting on a wooden board, we were able to slide the whole engine out from under the van. We're out! Well, what a success that was. But this is only the beginning of the process. Now it's time to get into all the nitty-gritty stuff. Whilst the engine was out, I took the opportunity to clean all of the components, including the engine bay.
Hello.
G'day!
What are you doing?
Oh look, well while the engine's out, I thought we may as well clean the engine bay. So I'm just making him shine again to the sweet, sweet smell of petrol.
Oh, it's very strong.
Yeah, I'm starting to be able to like smell colours.
Oh gosh.
I might have to have a little quick spell in the fresh air for a minute or two, I think.
I think so.
Oh well, all in the name of adventure.
I then spent quite a bit of time prepping external surfaces to be repainted and cleaned up all the parts that haven't seen daylight for several decades.
To help pay for all these repairs, both Will and I worked during the week. I worked at a cardiology clinic, filing and organising patient files, whilst Will worked for a rural contractor. Will's dad disassembled the engine block and sent those components to a machining shop where they refaced the cylinder head and block, honed the cylinder bores, cleaned and inspected parts like the pistons and bearings, as well as sourced new hydraulic lifters and piston rings.
Now with the engine block back from the machine shop, we were blown away by the quality of the job and couldn't be happier. But now it's time for the exciting part, rebuilding the motor. We started off by fitting the crankshaft bearings, applying that pink pre-assembly lube to all moving parts to assist with the first start-up of the motor. Then we lowered the crankshaft into position and bolted him down. Next is installing the new piston rings. With the old man being an ex-mechanic, it was awesome to learn about all the inner workings of the engine, how to fit everything correctly, and learn all the tricks to do with this era of vehicle. It also helps that he already has all the tools we could have possibly needed for the job, like this piston ring compressor, which holds the rings we just set into position while we literally smack the piston into the block.
You right?
Yep.
Happy with that look there?
A little bit more clockwise. Yep. That'll
Okay.
do. That's
Cool.
With all those major components in the block, it's time to seal it all together and reattach the flywheel, oil pump and sump pan. Then finally, weeks of hard work has begun to come together. I mean, how good does this motor look now? I almost don't want to go out and get it dirty again. But at this point, everything that we've been through is finally starting to feel worth it. However, the job doesn't end here. We still need to clean and attach the transmission before the big moment of getting this motor back in old Joe. Awesome, so we've got the engine in now, all mounted up. Now it's just a matter of putting all the little bits and pieces back on the block, throwing the cylinder head on with a new gasket, and we'll be good to go. And there we go, just like that, we're all back together. Cylinder head and everything's on, we're all wired back up. And now, the moment of truth. All good, let those lifters fill up with oil. There we go. Sweet. So what a success that was. It's honestly so exciting to have it all sounding smooth and just running really, really nice. We still have to do a bit of a tune-up on it, but I'm just blown away by the job we've done. The engine looks amazing, everything looks fresh, and honestly, I don't think it's looked this good since 1987 when the thing came out of the factory. We're just manufacturing a new air intake to go on top of the carburetor there. I'm just going to run around, touch up a little bit of the scratched off paint, especially the old worn in section of my elbow on the driver's door there. Obviously spent way too much time with my arm hanging out the window. But yeah, we've got a couple of other really exciting things that we've been doing in the background of all this, and I'll show you that in a sec. But for now, I'm just going to focus on patching up all these little areas here, all those little blemishes from the last year of travel. So just while I'm waiting for the first coat of paint to dry, I thought I'd quickly go over a couple of things that we've done to fix the main issues we've had over the last year. Main one being our engine running hotter than it should be. So to combat that, we've added a bigger radiator in. Took a little bit of retrofitting, a little bit of manufacturing to get all the mounts and everything to line up and that to fit in there as snug as it does. But we've gone from a 2-core, which was in the van, to now a 3-core, which just gives us that little bit of extra cooling capacity. To assist with getting air through the radiator, we've gone and got a new clutch for the fan as well. Also to help with airflow, as you can see, the radiator sits way up under the front of the vehicle. So natural airflow when you're driving doesn't really get up there as easy as like a normal car where the radiator's right on the front of the vehicle. So to help get air up the top, we've offset from the big fan spins about here. So we've offset this thermo fan, which is wired up to the air conditioner circuit as well as a temperature sender. So as soon as the engine gets around the 80 to 85 degree mark, this fan will turn on and help to suck that little bit of extra air through. So other than replacing a heap of stuff with whatever Toyota genuine or like quality Japanese made parts we could find. You would have seen the previous episode that we've added a made in Spain Weber genuine carburetor. I'm stoked with this carby. It's, you know, added a little bit of extra power. The choke's operating properly, so our warm-up stages is quicker and more efficient. I haven't exactly had a chance to test the fuel economy of it yet. Everything's looking really, really positive at the moment, so yeah. Just like that, we've got our air box sitting on top of the carburetor there. So as you can see, that's all the old, original air intake duct, and it's just kind of welded on to the surrounding box that we've made up a metal bracket to go around it, and still kept the same clip-on design, so I can easily just take all that off and check to make sure the choke is engaging properly.
Test driving, Joey.
How good? Back on the cruise.
Feels good.
Feels very good so far. I think only thing I might have to do is do a couple of idle mixture things and maybe just up the idle just a tiny bit, but for the most part, for just slapping it all back together, it's running so smoothly and happily, and the cold start was perfect, so yeah, it's good so far. Very good. So whilst we've been busy focusing on the engine under the seats, we've also been putting a heap of work into the back here. We've reupholstered all our cushions and bedding with this beautiful blue material that kind of matches our stripes on the side. We've also updated our dining room table with some just some clearance timber we found at Bunnings actually. So we doweled a few pieces together, braced it all up underneath, and now we've got this beautiful table with some like a natural wood edge and everything. So the way that these cushions and that table's come out is just so spectacular. It really just makes the van feel a bit fresher and a bit more new all over again. It's unreal. I'm so happy with it. So with Joey now running well and looking good, it would have been rude not to give him a quick cut and polish before we get straight back into our adventure.
With the rebuild complete, it was time to get back on the road and back to some awesome adventures.